I am out here at the Edmonton International Airport. I'm with the CUPE Air Canada flight attendants who are on strike, who are defying the government back to work order. These folks are brave enough to stand up for their right. You know, every single worker in this country deserves to get paid for the work they do. They deserve to have a living wage. And Air Canada is not negotiating with these workers in good faith. And the Liberal government has sold workers out without any attempt at negotiation.
The Air Canada flight attendant strike is a huge deal in so many ways that could impact all workers in Canada. So you should care about it, and I'm going to tell you why. See, as you've probably heard by now, the Air Canada flight attendants went on strike on August 16th, so 2 days ago, after 99.7% of them voted in favor of strike action. And they have a very good reason to do so. According to CUPE, which is the union representing the Air Canada flight attendants, entry-level Air Canada flight attendants' wages have only increased by $3 per hour in the past 25 years. That is a 10% increase over the same period of time that saw inflation increase by 169%. In fact, a full-time entry-level Air Canada flight attendant earns less than minimum wage, just $27,000 per year before taxes. On top of all of that, flight attendants are paid based on the time from takeoff to landing, not for boarding, not for getting the cabin ready, not for critical safety checks, and way more. That is wild and ridiculous, which is probably why Abacus data found that 59% of Canadians are more likely to sympathize with the flight attendants compared to just 12% who sympathize with Air Canada. I need to know who those people are. Despite these glaring injustices that Air Canada flight attendants are pushing back against, all while Air Canada continues to be one of the country's most profitable companies, making billions in profits, just hours after the flight attendants went on strike, the government came in to squash it. They invoked Section 107 of the Canada Labour Code, something they've been doing a lot over the last while, to end the strike. And this is where things get very badass. The flight attendants and the union said, no, you're not going to take away our right to strike. And they've pushed ahead with their strike anyway. Because of that choice, the government asked the Canada Industrial Relations Board to rule on the legality of this decision to continue to strike. And that board found that this strike action is, quote, unlawful. But there's just one hitch. It turns out the chair of that board served as legal counsel for Air Canada for 7 years, from 1998 to 2004. I have no idea how you can see that as a fair fight. So today, this diva, this icon, the national president of the union, CUPE, said that they're still going ahead with the strike, and he is willing to go to jail if that's what it takes.
There's no limit. We're going to stay strong. We're going to stay committed to making sure that those workers can do the job that they love doing and actually be able to afford a roof over their heads, to afford caring for their families. And if it means folks like me going to jail, then so be it. If it means our union being fined, then so be it. We're looking for a solution here. Our members want a solution here. But that solution has to be found at a bargaining table.
Hell yeah. And this is why this is such a bigger issue than just being about the Air Canada flight attendants. According to the president of the Canadian Labour Congress, last night the heads of Canada's unions met in an emergency session to stand united behind the Air Canada flight attendants' decision to defy what she called, quote, the government's unconstitutional attack on workers' rights. She said, quote, we came out stronger and united with a clear message to push back against the government's attacks on workers' rights. An attack on one is an attack on all. See, unions are one of the only ways that normal people like you and me can fight back against the worsening wealth inequality in our society that's pumping out billionaires faster than Pop Mart pops out Labubus. When union membership rises, income inequality goes down. But as union membership has declined over the last 75 years, wealth inequality has gotten worse than ever. Those were US figures, but Canada has also seen a significant decline in unions, particularly particularly in the private sector. There are more workers than there are executives and bosses, and unions give those workers the power to work together and to remind those greedy bosses that the only reason they can turn a profit is because of the labor of their workers. Why do you think assholes like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are so anti-union? Because strong unions can force those gluttonous losers to pay their workers better and pocket fewer profits. Strikes also remind everyone how important that labor is. Oh, there's a major societal disruption because flight attendants refuse to eat shit while their company rakes in billions and executives pay themselves millions? Maybe take that disruption as a hint that the work of these flight attendants is more valuable than the rate at which it's being compensated. Instead of fighting for the middle and working class, though, the Liberal government has developed a nasty little habit in the last year or so. It keeps invoking Section